Alright, so it's gonna be a little short video, kind of explain a couple of things that I think that people aren't really thinking about when they're building for Warzone and stuff. Because y'all are building for optimal play with max recoil reduction and stuff on your weapons. I think there is a way to play this game that you don't have to have the best of the best and all-in-one stat to play all around. And to kind of showcase this a little bit, I'm just gonna go with this M4 that I was messing with earlier. Now, this all really comes down to making your kit more versatile than what people are doing. It isn't all just run and gun. You can actually use strategy and stuff in this game. And there's a few things to kind of note here. Is one, monolithic suppressors and stuff like that, right? They're very good. Um, they're very popular. Everyone likes using them. They increase damage, range, sound suppression. They have the decreases aim down sight speed and aim walking steadiness. Now, the main thing that I want to note here is that the monolithic suppressor does give you a couple hundred bullet velocity. Um, Usually, but without it you can still get 1,000 bullet velocity on your weapons, and comparing that to something like the HDR, which can only get 1,000 bullet velocity off the get-go anyway, you don't really need more than that on these ARs. Like, it's going to make you more accurate at longer ranges, but 100 more bullet velocity isn't going to drastically improve everything that much. The Kilos and the Odins, they can get 1,300 bullet velocity, 1,500 bullet velocity, so they're pretty much lasers at longer distances if you control the recoil and such, but it's not very necessary. Without the monolithic suppressor on the Kilo, for instance, you can still get 1,100 bullet velocity, which is going to be better than a lot more, and even equal to them using a monolithic suppressor. So you're gonna have them beat in that category anyway, even if they're running the monolithic. So you have more options that you can take here, because the compensators, more recoil control, which is gonna make you more accurate at longer distances, or you can do the recoil stabilization, which is gonna help you stay on target longer distances as well. Sustain fire if you're using bigger magazine sizes, all that good stuff. And then even these lightweight suppressors, I wouldn't use the tactical suppressor just because this gives you kind of the same downgrades as the monolithic. It's just a little bit less, but the lightweight suppressor just gives damage range, so it's going to decrease your bullet velocity maybe a little bit, but if you're doing closer range combat, this is going to help suppress you without giving you the ADS time penalties, because there's people using monolithic suppressors and stuff on close quarters weapons, and yes, they can shoot farther ranges and deal their damage at farther ranges, which is nice, but you're missing out on some ADS speed and some aim walking steadiness. This is going to help you with your aim overall. If you want to still stay suppressed, this is an option. It's something that people just don't try this out. Breaching devices and stuff like that don't enable one-hit kills, but they might increase your actual damage. I'm not exactly positive. My test, it usually took 2 hits still to kill, but this is just the test for this build, right? Now, a lot of people run Ghost and stuff in this game as well, and I am a fan of Ghost. It has a lot of applications. It keeps you off the radar. It keeps you from getting seen. I believe Ghost is better in close quarter situations, like inside of the city, downtown, all that, stairwells, things. If you want to sneak, this is the thing. But I mainly use Ghost on my sniper classes, my long-range LMG type classes, um, things like this. And I would personally use that in a squad if you're going to have someone as a designated sniper. And this kind of leads to my next point too, is that people, they rush around corners and things, right? And in this game, when things can be connected to FPS and stuff that much, especially like consoles versus PCs, when PCs can have higher frames, um, if you're not running the best gear, like I've played with 8 frames per second on video games quite a lot in my day, and you have to have another way to win fights besides just gunfighting. And you can do that with tactical equipment. That's the whole purpose of the tactical equipment. No one really uses it. So if you use like a compensator, for instance, this can give you 27% recoil reduction, which is going to allow you to use a different underbarrel. Because this right here, 27%, is going to trump the 17% that you get from an underbarrel connection. And then when you do that, you don't necessarily need any of these. So it opens up the possibility of using smoke screen underbarrels, recon underbarrels, incendiaries, high explosive underbarrels. A lot more versatility here, which allows you to open up more grenade options when you're actually running this. And you can run somebody in your squad as a grenader. You could use the M4, you could use any gun that you want. Personally, I like the FAL the best just because it's kind of a long range type of support class where it can deal a lot of damage to enemies at long distances. The recoil isn't super noticeable even on the base FAL for me, and you're able to challenge snipers at long distances as well, even if you're not running a monolithic suppressor on the FAL, even though I personally like the monolithic on the FAL because I use it for longer range shots. The FAL can mess up, break people's armor 3 shots. You can get 3 shots on a sniper before they get 1 on you, just depending. Um, it's pretty solid. But you can see that this opens up a lot of versatility for your class. You can also bring the 12 gauge underbarrel if you want. But with this, I would probably go high explosives, recon, or smoke screen or concussive. But it just depends on this. Now, another option I want people to kind of see for perks. Overkill is good, right? You can give you 2 guns at the first of the game. It's pretty nice, but if you're doing the play style like I'm talking about, where you're having grenades and things like this, you don't necessarily need a close range weapon. You have to worry about them rushing you. That's about the only bad thing about running the grenade classes. If they have shotguns and stuff, they can push into you and probably beat you in close quarters, but you want to try and limit anyone's opportunity to be able to fight you. That's the whole purpose of strategic play. You don't want to go in a one-on-one engagement and try and see who's the better shot. You want to be able to take advantage of the tools that you have and win the fight before it's even started. Give yourself the best edge possible. So if you're bringing a compensator, for instance, you don't have the noise suppression. They can see you on the radar, but a lot of times if people are in the area, they can hear the suppressed shots anyway. Your enemies may not have suppressed weaponry, and the tracers can be seen. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of like if you run Ghost solo, you're good. But if you're running in a squad of 4 and half of your team died and they don't have ghosts and you're standing right next to each other, it doesn't matter. So that's why personally I would run ghost on sniper classes, LMG sport classes and stuff, and I would leave the ghost player off to the side. You need to use them as Overwatch for your zone clears. You know, you clear out a building complex, an area, they can watch and make sure that people don't run up on you. A lot of the buildings in this game are inside of like big gullies. They're like a big bowl. So the mountains and stuff on the outside of the complexes give a lot of support to people who are inside the complex. And it also means if you get into a firefight, you can pull out of the firefight or even reposition or move towards your sniper, so he can help give you some covering fire as you're moving back. Another thing is cover. When you're in this game, people tend to just run around willy-nilly, slide around corners and stuff, which fine and it works well, especially people who don't aim very good. But the better that people are at aiming, the less and less that stuff's going to work most of the time. And it really comes down to cover, like who can provide the most cover and stuff. If you get held down, you can easily take cover. So sprinting and getting into cover around a firefight will help you a ton. It saves you so many times being able to do that. And then when it comes down to actual firefights, if you have people who can rotate and you have your sniper support, it's very possible for you to just take cover and then watch them push up to you, because they're going to want to push you behind that cover most likely, and it can give very clean shots to your support or allow people to kind of, rotate around and flank on them, which is what you would do probably in real life if you can't move from cover. It's just a lot safer as long as you have teammates that can back you up when you do this. Now, you might be thinking, if you have a sniper and they're going to be by themselves, it's going to leave them vulnerable, because if people push up on the sniper, because you just said people can hear the suppressed shots, they can see the tracers and stuff, they're definitely going to see the sniper glint scope. They can push that sniper and kill him. And this is true. But on a sniper class, you'd probably want to self-revive. And if your teammates are running a class like this with underbarrel grenade launchers or whatever they want, they can run restock, which is something that I'm a big fan of in this game. Quick Fix, Kill Chain, Cold Blooded, all that stuff is really good. And I personally would run thermal optics with smoke grenades, mainly because people who spec their guns for high recoil control, they usually use a base sight or they don't use any sight. And when you use a smoke grenade, it basically cuts them off from the fight. You can use these for room clears, you can use this for mobile cover when you're going from building to building, you can use this to press buildings, you can use it uh, in late game fights when you don't have a good position and you need to fight someone on top of a good position. There's a lot of times where a 4-man squad, none of them will have a thermal optic. And this right here can let you single-handedly take on 4 players by yourself, just with the right rifle and a smoke grenade and a thermal, even without armor. There's times where I've won this without armor. It works really good even with the M13, especially with blackout rounds, because they can't see the tracers and they don't get hit mark detection, so they don't know where it is. It's very good. Now, for the longest time also when I was doing this, I was using shrapnel, but you don't want to use shrapnel with this because when you run restock, it's going to resupply your lethals anyway, which is going to give you 2 lethals, so you don't need shrapnel unless you want the delayed health regeneration, but that isn't going to do anything. Starting with 2 lethals doesn't help you at all when you have restock, because it's just going to restock everything for you anyway. So you get the options of being immune from grenades, gas grenades, stuns, EMPs, which would be really nice. You get the option of amp, faster reload speeds, rocket launchers, and that's something you can use as a secondary here. But personally, I'm going for tracker, mainly because it lets me see a footprint trail, which is giving you more information. If everyone on your squad has tracker and you go into a building, you can all see those footprints, which means that nobody is safe inside that building. They're not going to be able to sneak up on you if you can see their footprints inside of a closet. You know, if you can see their footprints on the first floor, you know somebody's there, you can sweep it. This is a bunch of intel that you can get here, and this is the main reason why strategic play can beat um, really good gun-played players, is because the more information you have in these kind of games, the better off you are. The sniper can give you a bunch of intel on what's on the outside, tracker can give you a bunch of intel on what's on the inside, and the grenades is going to let you beat players without actually having to put yourself into a position to be like in threat. Like, now what this is going to do also is you can run a secondary pistol, whatever you want. You can also run rocket launchers, which I personally do. If I'm running an underbarrel, they share ammunition, so you get the option of running both, but you don't necessarily have to run the underbarrel if you don't want to, especially on the M4s and things like that. So what you're going to end up having is a rocket launcher as a replacement for grenades, or you're going to have underbarrel that can give you more versatility with concussives and all that. But overall, I think smokes are the best grenade. Concussives can help you with clears and stuff, but smokes can cut their vision. So if you have a smoke, it's going to help you. And then you have options here with frags or landmines. And this is going to kind of go hand in hand with what we're doing. Is because if you know somebody's in a building, right, and you know they're holding a corner, personally, I like snapshot grenades. I would probably want somebody with a foul or something in the squad with a snapshot, just because they give you so much information. When you go into a building, you can use the snapshot and see where people are on the first floor, or the first floor, second floor, whatever it is, right? And a lot of people aren't running battle hardened to actually stop them from being seen. If you don't see them on the snapshot, you will see their foot trail, which is going to be another big deal. But then you're not only going to be able to limit people's vision, but frag grenades, they're really good for taking corners, and this is the whole point. In every other game that you play with frags, people use them to take, well, at least hardcore strategic games like Tarkov, things like that. Frags are not used to just damage people. They can be, but they're used to take the corners. Damaging somebody with a frag is going to help you in a fight because you know they're going to be weaker than you after you break their armor and stuff. If your whole team is running frags, then that means you're going to be having, let's say you have 1 sniper and you have 3 people, that means you have 6 frags. 1 frag can break their armor for the most part, and you're able to take 6 corners. There's not really more than 6 corners in a lot of these buildings. You're also going to be able to hit the top of buildings with frags and blow up a lot of enemy players, people camping on top of buildings if you're good with your shots. And the snap grenade can also give you a bunch of intel on where people are on the top of buildings. Now, The other option here is the proximity mine, which personally I'm a big fan of, and is part of the reason why I would run a rocket launcher as a secondary, is because I can use those as a replacement of frags if I really wanted to, and use these landmines. And the reason why landmines are really nice is because they're allowing you to cut off corners and things that people can use to flank you. So if you go into a building, you can toss landmines on the first floor, you put smokes up on the second floor, you maybe toss an RPG or something up there, or snapshot, kind of get some vision, and then you can push up to the second floor. If they jump out the windows, try to rotate underneath you, they're going to hit these landmines, and they're either going to kill themselves or they're going to break their armor, which is going to give you an advantage in the firefight. But the main other reason to use landmines and stuff in this game, not only is it for vehicles and things, you can bait vehicles, you can defend places later on in the match, but it's for your sniper. So if you have recons, for instance, you know where the enemy, the last circles and stuff are going to be, you can take a squad of 3 with landmines and restock. And then you can take a sniper with ghost and all that for Overwatch. Place the sniper up on a mountainside, have your team down lower ready to go. Sniper with self-revive, stuff like that. And then you have 6 landmines that you can place around your sniper friend, which is going to give them a lot of protection versus people being able to like hear them shoot. The only thing the sniper's going to have to worry a ton about is other snipers, things like that. So if he's in a concealed position, has a silenced rifle, has ghost, as cold-blooded, no one's going to be able to really tell where he is on the mountain unless he's using the sniper scope, which you can swap out for a different scope if you want to not have the glare, because if you're at closer distances that you really don't need the long range optic. But let's say he's using the long range optic, it's really just going to be whoever sees it and can snipe him from a long distance, which is a sniper fight, but he's going to have self-revive to get himself back up if he really needs to. But the landmines are going to keep people from going up on him. So I would also have him with a heartbeat sensor so he can see people around. But that's 6 landmines. You can cover 6 zones around the sniper, make a sniper's nest. If people press up on him and those landmines go off, it's going to give him a chance to fight off all those attackers, because 1 landmine can break their armor, 2 can kill, and you have 6 possible landmines in one section. You could also say if you took the mountain and it's on the edge of a map, you came from the right side of the mountain, you cleared it, the sniper's going to set there, so you place mines on the right side, you clear the left side afterwards and go down to where you're going. You have 6 landmines on his right side, so he knows that his right side is pretty secure and he can just worry about his left. That's going to be pretty good, pretty vital for protecting the sniper, which is what you're going to want because he in turn is going to protect you. And then you're going to have your rockets and things like that to actually take the corners and stuff close quarters or just fight. And then on top of that, you got quick fix. This is very good with the smoke grenades, things like that, because if you do get injured and you pop a smoke and you kill somebody, you're going to regen your HP, and with smoke grenades you're going to be able to fight multiple people without actually getting shot to death because they can't see you, they can't locate you. And the really good players can follow the tracers, but if there's 3 of you and smoke grenades everywhere, there's going to be a lot of tracer fire, it's going to be hard to track. It's very crucial to do this. Now the other option, cold-blooded, can help you with thermals. If they have a thermal with you, you have more practice with thermals, anything like that. It's just going to allow you to be more stealthy in a thermal battle in the smokes if you happen to get in the long-range thermals, things like that. Now, another good one is Scavenger. I would probably put this on one of your players, probably the FAL guy, just because the FAL is more ammo efficient than a lot of these ARs. Scavenger will give you like 60 rounds of ammo for your AR or whatever you grab. So it means that the FAL man will be able to resupply himself. Say he takes 20 rounds. It might take like 3 rounds or something to kill somebody with the FAL, just depends. He can take 20 rounds, give him another mag, which is plenty enough for one firefight if you use the FAL pretty good, and then you can dump the other 40 or whatever to your teammates, which is going to resupply their ammo. But the big deal is that if you kill somebody with Scavenger and you swap to your rocket launcher, you're going to be getting a rocket, and so you can resupply people's rocket launcher ammo while you're fighting, which is going to let you keep on pushing. And it also supplies your underbarrel if you're running an underbarrel, so the FAL guy can actually get more snapshot grenades, more concussive grenades, whatever he's running as a secondary. EOD is also good, but those probably are the top three that I would run with this kind of loadout. Um, the main thing with this is that it's strategic gameplay, which people don't really do in this game. It doesn't really feel like to me. The restock and stuff is going to be really good. The tracker is going to be really good. Quick fix and stuff is really good. People are obsessed with Ghost, and it's really necessary for close quarters just because there's so many angles in downtown and stuff. You don't want people to be able to find you very easily. But you don't need this off the bat. You don't need overkill off the bat. You can have one weapon and be very consistent, and you don't have to have an overkill loadout. And like, overkill's good when you're bum rushing corners and you need a close range weapon like a fire shotgun that's just going to one tap people close range. But a lot of the weapons that you can find on the ground work perfectly well, and if you have a really good weapon on top of that, it's just going to be that much better. And as long as you fight how your weapon's supposed to fight, it's not going to be a big deal. Now, what this can also do is open up some gameplay elements, because if you go in and you don't have Ghost, you know that you're going to be able to be seen on radar. They're not going to be able to see the sniper on radar. If all of y'all are together and they see you on radar, like, oh, there's a group of 3 in a house here, they're going to assume probably that your whole squad is in that house, which means if they press up to that house, your sniper can actually see them. Now, they think they have the upper hand because they're pushing in. They may be trying to C4 the house, something like that. So, if you do something like that, the sniper can shoot at them, which might catch them off guard. It's going to make them panic, try to find the sniper, something like that. They may think there's another team. It's going to shoot them, force them into the house. Then, on top of that, if you're using smokes and stuff, they're not going to be able to see very well. They may go in the house, you toss smokes, they can't see how to get out. You jump out of the house, and then they're inside the house on the first floor. They don't know if you're in the second floor or outside, and they can't see because all of the smokes, and you can just gun them down through the windows. Your sniper can tell you if people are coming outside. Um, it's pretty good. And then on top of that, one of the most versatile quests in the game, I believe, is the King quest, because it does not limit you to what your options are when you take the quest. Bounties, you have to kill the target. If you can't kill the target, it's pretty much worthless. Supply runs, all that stuff, they're good, but if people are taking supplies around you, it could toss you to a supply somewhere way far away near an enemy team. Being forced to move to a position just because of a quest, I don't think it is worth it compared to being able to choose where you can go. Now, there are a couple things here. The running to a buy station can be very good because it's giving you free self-revive, so that's a pretty solid quest. The recons are pretty solid if you want some intel on where to go. So those two quests in particular, I would be pretty interested in doing those. So if they're the options that you have when you land, recon supplies are pretty solid. Recons can also be decent because they're a set location and they tell people where you are, but a lot of people don't pay attention to them, and you can kind of set up for that defense if you really want to. The main thing is you just want enough money to get your loadout as quickly as possible. But after you get your loadout, the King quests, I believe, are probably the best quests in the game. Just because, one, they give your location away, right? And people don't like that. But it's the thing where it's like people run heartbeat sensors because it can help you versus normal players, but it doesn't help you versus ghost players. But if you're running ghost and someone got some bounty on you, it doesn't really help you much. If they have if you have the King quest, it doesn't help you. If they just see you out in the open, it doesn't help you. um, that's just how that kind of stuff works. But if you're able to, I kind of lost my track of thought. And on that note, though, like, people don't use thermals because they don't like them, or they think they're cheating, or all that good stuff, or they think people run cold-blooded. But you can see people who have cold-blooded with thermals. It's not any different than seeing them with a normal sight. The only difference between a thermal and a normal sight is that you can't see sniper rifle glare. But your gun isn't really suited for fighting snipers, even though you could. And even if you can see the sniper rifle glare without this, like, just don't ADS. You can see the sniper rifle glare, then you aim towards the sniper rifle glare, and you know where he's at anyway, and you can see him on the scope most likely, unless he's super far away. And at that point, your rifle probably isn't going to cut it anyway. If you can see him in the glare and you can aim in and see him, then you're pretty much golden. Now, so I don't see, if you're running heartbeat sensors, I don't see why you wouldn't run a thermal. It's giving you that much more information if your enemies don't have it. It's pretty much the same exact thing going on. I don't know why people have a problem with it. Now, the only other thing I could say about that is that there are scopes that give recoil reduction, as far as I've seen on websites and stuff when I look at stats. In that case, it's a solid option, but you're already going to have a lot of recoil reduction. Just the compensator on the front of your gun will give you enough to replace an optic and your foregrip, for the most part. Now, what the King Quest does is it's very versatile. One, uh, it's taking a lot of power away from your enemies. First off, you don't want your enemies to be able to free revive themselves, because a lot of them do. So you're taking stuff away from your enemies where they can't bring their teammates back, which is going to help you in the long run. You're able to stay mobile because you don't have to be locked in one place. People who see that you have a King Quest are going to probably get greedy and try to get you. People who see that you have a King Quest will probably think that you're weak in trying to get your teammates back, so they may not think that you have a full squad. You're able to proc it and revive any downed or dead allies that you have, which is really good. The reason I know this is because I've tested this a lot. When your allies are down in the middle of a firefight, and this has saved us a couple times, we'll have 3 people down, a full squad of 4 pushing up, and they're like, okay, we got 3 down, we're going to finish off the last one, so they're pushing them. And the King Quest procs, and we all get picked up off the ground instantaneously from the King Quest and catch them off guard because they're not expecting 4 guys again. They go in there and then they get gunned down because they give up their positions. Reviving your allies is another big one, but the main thing there is that other quests, when you do them when your allies are dead, they're going to give you money, right? But it's going to take you more quests to revive your allies because you're the only one getting the money because you're alive, and then you're going to be able to having to spend 4K per person to get them back, which is, it's going to take a lot of quests to get that much money, probably at least 3 to get all of them back. Where the King can get all of them back all at once, plus give all of them money, which is going to allow you to get loadouts a lot faster. It's going to allow you to take resources from your enemies. It's going to let you get your loadouts and other equipment a lot faster. It's going to let you keep your teammates on the field. Because you got to think, not only are you getting money for the quest, but you're saving money from buying allies back. So it's 4K per ally plus 3 or 5K or whatever you get. So that alone is a tremendous value. Plus being able to automatically revive in firefights if they're already dead. That's going to bring them back. Even if they finish off 3 of your players in that King Quest procs, you're going to have 3 players coming back in behind them. I mean, you could possibly swarm them with pistols if you want it, but you could probably get your gun back and then go back in for another fight. That stuff's really good. But the major thing that I'm talking about here is that when I was talking about versatility, it's because it's going to let you have so many options. You can press enemies if you want and not have to worry so much as long as the king doesn't die, because one, they're probably going to try and gun for the king, which is going to take pressure off of your allies. But 2, if he doesn't die and your teammates go down, that is going to revive them anyway. So it's already negating a lot of the negative. On top of this, it may bring other teams onto you while you're fighting the enemy team. So it can give you a lot of support. But the other big thing is, again, that can go both ways because that's a lot of firefight. But the main thing is that you can bait people. All right. So say you have your sniper and your 3 guys. Sniper's up on the hill, you have the King Quest, your 3 guys instead place the landmines around you in a building, and then you with the King Quest are holding that building. Buildings are pretty much, think of it like a castle, alright? They're giving you a lot of defense, they're giving you a lot of potential to defend yourself, right? So having 6 landmines around a house is going to be able to protect you and weaken a lot of enemies that try to go in and don't notice that there's landmines. And they probably won't be expecting 6 on top of that. So it takes 2 landmines to kill. It takes 1 to pretty much break armor, and breaking armor is really all you need at this point, because one of those landmines has a huge explosion radius, even if it only has like a slight, tiny uh, activation radius. So one enemy popping one of those on the first floor is going to be enough to break all of their armors if they're down in there. On top of this, it can blow up vehicles. Um, you can put on stairwells, all that stuff. So even some of the two-story buildings, or the ones, the red rooftops that people go up on, there's 2 stairwells and 6 grenades. So that's 3 landmines apiece on each stairwell. That alone is enough to, 1, try and deter them from going up the stairs. 2, it's going to allow your guy to fight them on the stairwells very effectively. 3, it's going to weaken their armor or possibly down them. And then 4, they're not going to be expecting a full squad if they see one guy with a king hiding in a building. So the landmines, probably they won't think he has that many landmines. And then the other big thing is that they won't be expecting a squad. So as soon as they go in the house to try and kill the king, your squad mates can be posted up in other buildings. So they go in, they hit landmines, they're trying to push you up the stairs. That guy can probably defend himself on the stairs. You have a sniper outside watching if they go back outside, and then your teammates are pushing up through the first floor, which means that all of those guys are in a very bad situation because they're in a box, they're covered in all angles, they have explosives all over the place, and they're probably weakened. Their armor is probably shredded at this point, which means they don't really stand a chance for your actual teammates. Now, on top of this, if your teammates have rocket launchers and stuff as well, they can shoot those through the windows and probably finish them off without even having to go into the building because of that kind of thing. And this is how you win fights before they even start. But the hard part's going to be trying to find teammates that will actually do this with you. However, it's very effective. I've had no real problems with it solos. I've turned a lot of fights around with smoke grenades uh, by myself when my teammates have died. Ghost is a very strong perk, but a lot of times with less experienced teams, I'm having problems because like some of them die, they don't have Ghost, or they're just sitting in the open, they get spotted. As soon as you get spotted with Ghost, it's obsolete. Like, if you can't escape, you're stuck behind cover, you have no tools to save yourself. And this is why I think these more versatile play styles are better off for the most part. And at the final circles, yes, people can see you, but you got to realize the circle is very small. So they may know where you are without coming out of cover. That's the big one, right? But you have a squad of 4, which means you should be able to look in all directions. You shouldn't all be zooming in on one target, all right? You have to stay covered. So if they're able to pop out and shoot you and they know where you are, then you're probably just not good enough to realize where they could probably be, because it's not that difficult to see the ground, keep track of the fights before you go into it, and kind of know where people will probably be. And if you sweep and cleared your section very, very good, there's only left, right, and center where they can really come from. And there's going to be mountaintops, anything like that. And you have the tools. If you really wanted to clear something out, you can pop the smokes, you can throw the grenades, you can put the landmines down on your left and rotate right. And then those guys come over to the left to try and kill you, and they hit a landmine field, and the circle's moving, and they can't go through the landmines. And so it's not going to be good for them. And the smokes themselves are enough to really turn a lot of those fights into an instant win, because you will have 6 smoke grenades, like a minimum, in the final circle. One of those smoke grenades can completely cover all vision from one enemy team. Most likely that enemy team is not going to be rocking thermals, so that's a one-sided fight. You're going to have 3 guns minimum fighting against probably 0 or some random gunfire. One of your guys might go down, but you have smokes to revive them. You have smokes to cover your back. The main thing is that you have to practice with the thermals, because they're not going to be very easy to use at first. But you have to practice, and then you'll get used to it. It's pretty simple after a while. And using these different attachments that no one seems to use in these guns, they're not bad attachments at all. There's so many options that you can use on these weapons when you're actually using them. I've even started to use the 30 round mags compared to the 60s just because I'm able to reload and I have that utility, the pressure to actually down people without having to have the 60 round mags. But I will say that 60 rounds do help a lot. You can kill people at range, specifically at range, with ARs. That's the big one that I've had with 30 rounders. I can't really down or kill people with a 30 round mag at distance. Um, doesn't matter how many shots I really hit or fire at them, it doesn't really seem to matter. But 60 round mag, you could probably take them down. But if you have two guys with 30s shooting at them, you probably is down anyway. Now, the thing that the actual smaller mag size does really isn't a huge deal. It's mainly just aim down, sight speed, movement speed. But you see the movement speed penalty on this? It's pretty big. Like the 50 and the 60. When you go to the 60s, it's going to drop it quite a bit on the mobility. And being able to move fast just means that it's going to be harder for them to hit you if you actually want to get into cover, want to jump around, things like that. And I'm becoming a huge fan of mobility in this game. Being able to move very fast is just so important in my head at this stage. And it's come to the point where I've even started to use like the tack lasers and stuff. So like well, I stopped using the tack lasers mainly because of stocks. I haven't been messing with stocks very much. But if you look, okay, so the compensators and stuff, right? They decrease aim down sight speed and aiming stability. That's really their only big downside, right? But I'm running the suppressor here, which doesn't give any penalty, so I'm not decreasing my aim down sight speed or walking aiming steadiness, and I'm not decreasing my aim down sight speed or my aiming stability here. And I've decided to run the grip on the bottom, right? So if I'm not decreasing my aim down sight speed with the muzzle suppressor, or the suppressor or the compensator or anything like that, and I'm using an actual foregrip, which is basically the same that you would have if you were running the monolithic suppressor, then I don't really necessarily need a tack laser if I'm running an optic like this. I'm running this optic right now just because it was on the gun, and I'm not running smokes on this class. But if I run a thermal, like a Merc thermal optic, I was using the hybrid for a while, but it adds like 20 milliseconds or something to your ADS time, and I wasn't really using the red dot that much. I used it versus snipers a little bit. I used it in room clears a little bit because I didn't have enough smokes to really go through solo, but you only really need the Merc thermal. The big difference between this and here's something you got to think about. Okay, the Solo Zero NVG enhanced thermal. This thermal here, I don't like it compared to the Merc thermal. It's very hard for me to see players at long distances. It's hard for me to kind of keep track of people with the other one, but this night vision scope does give you vertical and horizontal recoil. So if you use this with the bottom, at least from what I've seen on websites and stuff, it does. But if you use that with a foregrip, you're going to be basically making your gun essentially like you would be having a compensator. Uh, and you can still use this with smoke grenades. I'm a big fan of the Merc thermal optic though. I can probably test this out and see what happens with it, but I don't think it's going to be a very good deal, to be honest. But with this, you can drop this tack laser. I do like tack lasers though, but it's just aim down sight speed, aiming stability, aim walking steadiness. Pretty solid. But if you drop that off, you can come to the stocks here. You got aim down sight speed. You can do this for high movement speed, but I don't like my guns without stocks in the back of them. Aim walking movement speed. And then you have aiming stability. Aim walking movement speed is giving you a big buff right there on the back end. And this is the big thing, because if we use this right here, we don't get an aim walking penalty. We don't get a movement speed penalty from these, right? We're not getting a walking penalty, aim down sight speed penalty, anything like that here. and then you're able to get an increase to aim walking movement speed here, which is going to make you more fluid when you're coming around corners. When you're in your smokes, you're going to be able to move a lot faster, and being able to move fast is going to be the big one. And you don't have the penalty from this, so we're going to be able to move fast normally and move faster with the ADS. But we're going to have to test this sight out because I haven't used this sight personally. But I don't really need the suppressor here. But if we do this, if we use the compensator, the monolithic, it's going to decrease our ADS time, which is going to probably make this feel a little bit slower. When you decrease the ADS time, it feels like you need the laser to kind of counteract the aim down sight speed penalty for the most part. The suppressor, though, shouldn't really have that big of an issue. But we're not running smokes on this class right here, right now, anyway. But we can kind of take this gun and I'll show you the sight, the optic when it goes in there. This is kind of why I don't really like it, but we're going to use the commando, I guess, underbarrel. Let me see what's going on. So real things, commando foregrip is aiming recoil stabilization and aiming stability. Just kind of helps you when you fire a whole lot. The other option that I use a lot is the Ranger foregrip, recoil control and aiming stability. It's really the only thing. It has a minus the movement speed. This is aim walking movement speed and aim down sight speed. So the deduction to movement speed here will probably be offset by just by running the 30 round mag, but this right here would be offset because it's just slight by the buttstock. And has improved long range combat. Let's just try the Ranger for right now. Because we have the stuff to offset it. So we're going to go in and we'll just go to a plunder quad, go into the lobby or whatever. The night vision scope on these rifles just isn't super great for me personally. The thermal just seems a lot better. You can see people a lot cleaner. The night vision, when they have the cold-blooded, it's very difficult to keep track of them for the most part.
Holding for deployment. Take this time. Enemy dropping into the AO. Dropping into the AO.
Tamam. No. No.
Mark a trap point for your team. You'll lead them in. Dropping into the AO. Lockdown in the area.
Oh, come on. It's just going down.
Enemies in the area. Enemies in the area.
I'm gonna die.
Give me up.
I'm gonna say. Ah.
Area. Watch the skies.
Ya apagué.
Enemy is tracking your location. Moving. In the area. Enemy UAV overhead. Request recon flyover. This is Falcon 3. UAV beginning flight. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy soldier incoming. Watch the skies. Enemy dropping into the AO. Dropping into the AO. Lost the enemy. I've got you! Enemy dropping into the AO.
Bro, oh my god, it's no way. You didn't kill me.
Enemy close to strike. Take cover. Enemy dropping into the AO. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy dropping into the AO.
Bro, no way this can so that impact. Go here,
Buddy on the mountain to the west.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's on that mountain way over there.
You can mark that and go down to him.
I don't know exactly where, but it's somewhere over by Orange. Unless they're in that helicopter.
Five. Enemy attack chopper incoming.
Saw something over there. There's a couple bursts
Oh,
yeah, right there. You see it.
There's a guy downstairs. A shotgun.
Hitting. Hitting twice.
the dead one is sniper.
I see him downstairs. Oh, he's
Right there. He's under the stairs.
Allies received airstrike incoming. Beware.
Smoke out here. Got some extra cash here.
Let's go speed tracker, I guess.
Contact.
This is still unlocked.
on COD. Or oh, they're shooting me from behind.
Hostile dropping into the area.
Right
Watch
there.
the sky. Someone.
Bro, what the heck? They really just hit that.
Bro, they're both down here. There's only one up.
You
C4
can
the
trust
car down
C4.
below. C4 the car down below. Hurry up. Oh, they're
Don't
right
go
there.
too
Ready to
rapid.
revive them. No. They're right down below. Just drop the C4. Hey, there you go.
Okay.
Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the sky.
Oh shit, I just fell.
Bro, freaking 2 mines. $15 kills, let's go.
We can see how that optic kind of, it's iffy. I don't really like, it doesn't give you a clear picture of people because it just shows you red or not red, whereas the thermal optic gives you white, and when they're not white, they're just gray. So it's just, I don't know. I like the thermal a little bit better, but it doesn't give you the recoil control, so that decision's up to you. Anyway, if you try this out, I hope you enjoy it. Get your squad mates on it. It's going to be a completely different gameplay experience compared to what you've been doing for sure. It does take a bit of communication as well. So give it a go and see how you like it.